Hey there everybody, welcome back to the 4 String Strum the channel. It's all about ukuleles. This week we got an old classic for you, nice and simple. This is an old Loudon Wainwright tune called Dead Skunk, in the middle of the road. I remember singing along to the AM radio in my dad's Plymouth Duster back in the early 70s to this one. Here's how it goes. Let's do the chords. It starts with C. Well, out on the highway, G. Late one night, F. Shoulda looked left and C. Shoulda looked right. Didn't see the station, G. Wagon car, F. Skunk got squashed and C. There you are. And it just follows that all the way through, that same chord progression. All right, let's take a look at some strums now. All right, so for strums, we can use our tried and true Old Faithful, right? The paintbrush strum. So you hit it with your thumb, and then you brush it with your fingers. Paint, brush, like that. You're just hitting that top string, get that G string ringing. Out on the highway late one night, shoulda looked left and you shoulda looked right. Okay, so you can play it like that. You can also start to add your thumb coming back up to get our sledgehammer strum. All right, if you folks have seen this, go ahead and just scoot ahead a little bit and get past the strumming. But for new folks, it goes like this. So that paint and brush, you can split the brush part in two, and that's what happens. So you get paint and then like that. Sledgehammer, as we call it. Sledgehammer. So you're hitting the top string with your thumb, brush, and then come back up with your thumb. Paintbrush, or out on the highway late one night, shoulda looked left and shoulda looked right. Okay, now the other thing that you can do is you can add in what I call a finger drag. So every once in a while, let's say you're just doing paintbrush. And just before I do the brush of the paintbrush, I give a little flick up with my finger. So it's paintbrush, okay? I call that finger drag. Finger drag. Now you don't have to do this paintbrush, finger drag, paintbrush, finger drag. You can just do it in whatever order you want. Again, we're not talking Mozart here, right? You can just kind of flick them in whenever you feel like it. Nobody's going to be marking you on it. All right, so that's your basic strums. Let me just show you a couple of little weeny tiny embellishments that you can do just to give yourself a little bit of extra oomph to the sound. All right, let's look at that now. All right, so this one's pretty straightforward. We're just going to do a couple of little hammer-ons here. So when you're playing the C, you can start to hammer on with your second finger here at the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. And when you go to the G, you kind of drop the whole chord at once. Watch. So it's, you kind of strum it, and then you drop your fingers down, okay? And it gives it that bendy sort of a country sound. Now you do the same thing when you go up to the F, okay? So you can drop the whole chord in. And then what I do is I just kind of hammer the 2nd finger, okay? Listen, I'll do the whole thing one more time. Okay, it just kind of adds a little bit of oomph to it. All right, let's play this song through. I'm playing this one on the Big Duke 10 banjo ukulele this week. If you're interested in one of these, they sound awesome for this kind of music. I'll put a link in the description. You get the 4-string strummer deal. Check it out down in the description below. And let's sing this one out loud, just like you did in 1972 when you were sitting in the back of Dad's old Plymouth Duster Black vinyl seats in the summertime. Remember those burning your legs when you had your shorts on? All right, let's get into it. Here we go. All right, here we go. Ready? Crossing the highway late last night. Should've looked left and he should've looked right. Didn't see the station wagon car. Skunk got squashed in the wire. You got your dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. He's stinking to high heaven. Take a whiff on me, that ain't no rose. Roll up your window and hold your nose. You don't have to look, you don't have to see. You can feel it in your olfactory. I got your dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. And it's stinking to high heaven. Play it through now. Well, you got your dead cat and you got your dead dog. On the moonlight night, you got your dead toad frog. Got your dead rabbit and your dead raccoon. And the blood and the guts are gonna make you swoon. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk in the middle of the road. And it's taking a high heaven. All right. All right, so I got to tell this story. It's Father's Day. So, back when I was a kid, you know, we had talking about the old Plymouth Duster. My dad had this cool car, brand new. It was the first year they came out, right? Fire engine red, black interior. Man, we thought we were all that in this car, right? I was about 7 years old, I guess. So anyhow, we're driving up to Sault Ste. Marie, which is about, I don't know, 8 or 9 hour drive. It's in the summertime, right? So it's got to be like 90 degrees. It is just cooking. So we get up about halfway into a place called Sudbury. And so we pull into this gas station. And Mom, like, she would pack a lunch. Didn't matter, like, if you're going down the street to whatever, the grocery store, she'd pack a lunch. So we had this lunch. So I'm handing out the sandwiches from the back seat. My brother's sitting here beside me. And so my dad's eating this sandwich, and he says to me, "Hey, Cal, pass me up one of those Pepsis." So we had some cans of Pepsi in the back seat, right? Not in a cooler or anything, just sitting there, right? So anyhow, I grabbed this can of Pepsi, and again, this is me, right? And I'm 7. I grabbed this Pepsi, and I just shake the hell out of this thing, right? And I hand it over, and my brother's looking at me like I've lost my absolute mind, right? I hand this to my dad. Now you gotta picture this, right? So it's like 90 degrees, no air conditioning, right? Vinyl seats. We're all sitting there like in shorts and, you know, short sleeve shirts and stuff. And my dad's at this point kind of like a cross between, kind of like John Wayne, side order of Don Cherry, and, you know, maybe a little bit of Genghis Khan, right? He's had enough of this trip. So anyway, I hand him this can of pop. And he goes to open it, right? But it's, remember those old ones that you had the little ring and then you'd pop it and then you'd peel the thing off, right? Nothing where you can release the pressure easily. Well, he opens this thing and it goes off like, you know, like a volcano, right? Like Mount St. Helens. I never seen one explode like this. Went straight up, again, brand new car, right? Hits the sun visor thing, okay, just straight up like you dropped about a pound of Mentos into this thing, and it's dripping all over him, and he's sitting there in a pair of shorts and a short shirt, and he takes the can, right, his eyes are bulged out of his head like 2 hard-boiled eggs, and he's just screaming a blue streak, and he fires this can of pop out the window, which wasn't bad until he realized that there was a lady standing in front of the car with her dog who was trying to have a crack. And this can of Coke or Pepsi goes flying by, and this maniac is screaming at the top of his lungs in the car. And I don't know, like the ladies must have thought this guy had just like completely lost it, right? And the poor dog is like, you know, trying to skedaddle out of the way and get out of there. So luckily he didn't realize that it was me that had shook this can of pop. I didn't own up to that until I was about 35. My brother, God bless him, he didn't rat me out either, right? So anyhow, years later, like 50 years later, Dad passed away in 2018 on Father's Day weekend, this weekend. And so after a little while, Mom decided she was going to move into an apartment. So I'm moving her into this new apartment. And there I am. And Mom always had Pepsi. So I'm carrying this case of Pepsi from the moving truck. And it's got like the plastic top on the case of cans, right? But I guess there was one or two that were missing out of the case. She'd already taken them out. So it was loose in there. Well, they all start falling out of the case. And they're hitting the ground and getting holes in them, and they're all exploding. Like, just, I'd never seen this before. They're just flailing around on the parking lot, and I'm completely covered in Pepsi. And again, 50 years later, the first thought in my mind was payback from heaven, right, from my father. He's up there just killing himself, thinking, oh, you little bastard, I got you back. Anyways, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And I hope you don't get a payback like I did. So anyway, till we see you next time, folks, keep smiling, keep strumming, and have fun. Maybe with one of these videos right over here. Bye for now.